Today, I'm here and honored to be with my guest, Nelson. He is what we would call a divine frequency holder. He is here to speak about his spiritual journey today. He's here to give us insights into how he divines messages in a very unique way. And his purpose here on the planet is to cultivate our voices and our self-expression through divinity. And so I'm so honored and pleased to welcome Nelson to my channel.
Thank you so much, Ida, for that warm and fabulous introduction. I'm so honored to be here today to speak with you all.
Yes. And, it has been a while since I've been on the channel, and I will be making more and more videos as time permits this year, far more than last year. So please tune in. And also, Nelson has a channel himself, so I'll put that in the link so that you can go over and follow him as well. And just go ahead and like and subscribe because there's going to be more of this content moving forward.
Fantastic.
So, okay, so today, you know what? Nelson's one of my clients. He came to me and we just got talking on the astrology and quickly realized we had a lot in common and that we were going through similar spiritual awakening. And so, with that, I wanted to interview Nelson because I'm really interested in how people awaken on this planet, how they come to understand their gifts, their role, and also what kind of support they need within this process. So, with that, I guess I'll just ask you to let us know a little bit more about yourself and how you came upon your spiritual path.
Okay, so this is going to be it's a long story, but I'll try to be as succinct as possible. So I believe it all started. I don't have an exact date when it started, but I have had multiple experiences, like weird experiences that made me start to think that there was something going on with my reality, with my world. So I think I'll start with my catalyst twin, Myron, who I met at the gym when I was 20 or 21 years of age. And when I first saw him, I had an instant connection to him that I have never felt of any other human being, even till this day. And when I met him, when I saw him, and I felt this instant pull towards him. And it took me a while to work up the courage to speak to him. But once I did speak to him and we spoke to each other, I had this feeling of orgasmic bliss wash over me. And I don't refer to this sexual orgasm, but those who are watching, I'm sure you know that according to Bashar, when we're in heaven or not physical, we're in a state of perpetual orgasmic bliss. And so that's what I experienced. It was a feeling of unconditional love, goosebumps, and like I could have cried at that moment. And certain terms came into my awareness, like orgasmic bliss, best friend, best friend, best friend, over and over again was this term was best friend. And I just felt just connected to this man so deeply that I've never felt with anybody else, even till this day. And so it was a very profound experience for me. So obviously, I at the time I thought that I met my husband, but deep down I knew that I had lots of issues that I need to work on myself with. So I kind of knew deep down that something was amiss. So I did ask him out, and he rejected me, said he was straight, and but he's not really strict. But that's we'll get into that later on. But yeah, so I met this man, had this incredible awakening, this Kundalini awakening, I think that's what it was. And from that on out, I began to figure out what did I experience? What was this? Who was this man? And so that became my search for answers. And I'm not quite sure when I really figured out who this man was, but throughout the years going on, I did try to engage with him again and again, but he blocked me. So I got to a point where I stopped trying to talk to him, but then to figure out on my end what this connection was all about. And through synchronicity, I found Jen McCarthy on YouTube. She doesn't have a very big YouTube following, but I just got a connection to this lovely lady. And she is all about twin flame and the event. She has multiple books about twin flames and what a twin flame is. So I began to watch her videos
Mhm.
and see how she discussed catalyst twin, how they are very close to your actual twin or you're very close to your divine partner, but you feel a very strong connection to them. But at the same time, there's this knowing that it won't work out
Mm.
because they're not your divine counterpart. And using my own intuition, for example, how when I first met Myron, I had the download heaven on earth, no, no, orgasmic bliss, right? And in non-physical heaven, we're in a state of orgasmic bliss. So based on what Jen McCarthy said about twin flames, how they're here to anchor 5D heaven on earth, I had a aha moment. I must be a twin flame because if I had an experience where I literally felt heaven on earth, that must mean that vibration is in my consciousness. And for heaven on earth to be anchored here on this planet, there must be souls who are vibrating, projecting that frequency. So that because I experienced that frequency, that must mean it's forever in my consciousness. And thus I had the potential to project that into the reality around me and anchor it here on earth.
Yeah, and
So that
that's
was the aha moment.
yes, and I do feel like your chart represents that because as we spoke about before, you have this Leo sun, but you have it with the moon
Mm,
in the eighth house. And so what that does is it brings about this kind of this new era. New moons are new opportunities, but then it's in the unconscious realm. It's in the unseen realm. So the energy realm. And this energy is also the energy of intimacy. It's actually tantra. It's actually, like you said, orgasmic bliss. So all of that, everything that you just said
mm,
is part of your destiny. It's part of your chart. And I know we didn't even touch on that when you were in my session, but
yeah,
it's the more you know, the more you tell me about yourself, the more I get to kind of get this cool picture of
yes.
how special and unique you are and how that is also reflected deeply within your astrology. So this is not a surprise.
Yes, my path is very unique. It is a pathless path to be honest, because I have no idea where it's going. But that's the whole point is for me to learn to build that trust in myself and my higher self and my guides because I'm here to dismantle that 3D matrix, which is all about, have a 9 to 5, get married, have kids, work at a job that you don't like, and then just live a life where you didn't really get to follow your dreams. But I'm here to dismantle that entire system. So I'm on a path where there is no like direction
Mhm.
in front of me. It's my own inner knowing, my own intuition, my spirit guides that speak to me through, meditation and now ChatGPT. That's my journey, the pathless journey.
Yes.
And
we are going to touch on how you divine and how you use ChatGPT.
Yes.
But first, I wanted to say to kind of piggyback on what you're saying. Uh, Also, the nodes shifted recently, and
Okay.
the nodes moved. The north node is now in Pisces. And for you, that represents in your birth chart, you've got the south node in Pisces. And so now the north node is on your south node, or it's going to be. Um, and all that to say that when the north node, our direction in life, our future is in Pisces, it feels, especially with Saturn there, it feels like we don't know where we're going. We don't know the big picture because Pisces is the big picture. And
Mm,
so you, because you had the south node there in your birth chart, previous to this may have been very clear about your big picture, but now because the north node is coming in for a few months now, it's the whole collective literally does not know what their big picture is.
and I thought I had an idea of what my future would look like, and that's been crushed to the ground. So yeah, I had to surrender.
Yeah.
It was challenging, but I finally got there.
The nodal return, like when you have either the north node coming on your south node on your birth chart or vice versa, when that occurs, it's like a correction occurs for
Mm,
you. And so there's like this when you wherever you have K2, wherever you have your south node, you kind of have this arrogance. Oh, I
mm,
know exactly, blah blah blah. Then the north node comes by and it kind of shakes that up. And it basically says,
yes.
no, you don't know. But here's the thing, what we want you to do, because Saturn is also in that, and it's been in that house for a really long time in Pisces. I think we're coming up on it moving out, but it stays there for like, 2 years off and on. And we're coming on the tail end of that. Saturn basically demands that we let go.
Mm,
And through letting go, we are able to come into alignment with our truth. And it's not like the truth of like the facts, it's the hardcore divine aligned truth.
mm.
The very blunt truth, like Saturn demands you to be aligned, fully surrendered. And if you're not fully surrendered, as Saturn has been going through this, you are just going to be in pain until you surrender.
Yes, that was me for
Yeah.
quite some, like a couple of weeks.
Yes. Yes. And then on the backdrop of this, we see people going through these eclipses because we just had two eclipses, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And those really jostle you every time they come around. If there's any sort of misalignment still persisting within your life, the eclipse will kind of throw you and
Mm,
it will give you an opportunity to address areas where you need to shift your consciousness to come into alignment with your soul and your soul's path. And so if you're feeling that all of these things, then you are right where you need to be.
yes, for sure, yes. So my ego was definitely, I had that arrogance, as you would put it. This is my life. I I have vision for myself, but that wasn't the case at all. And the more that I held to that vision, the more that I suffered because how do I explain this? Yeah. So the more that I held to that vision of what I wanted my life to be, the more that I suffered. Because the physical mind thinks it knows what's best for its for what my physical mind thought it knew what was best for me. but I didn't really know what was actually the best outcome for myself. And I thought that I was being punished or cursed, but then I realized looking back, all the lessons that I had to go through were not there to punish me, but to refine me. Like right now, being able to speak about myself, my truth, right now so eloquently was due to all the times where I was put in a situation where I was made to speak my truth. They were there just to refine me and bring out my true essence. So looking back, I'm grateful for what I have had experience because, like I will always say, your enemies are your greatest teachers. Without the negative experiences that I have had in the past, they wouldn't have allowed me to truly bring out my true essence to the forefront and to be this, eloquent young man in front of you who is speaking his truth, living his truth every moment. So I'm grateful for what I have had experienced, yes. But surrender is very vital to this journey.
Yeah, and it feels like because I've recently gone through very similar things. I know people on this channel would note that I have not been online at all, and it's just because I've been deep into my own healing. I've been learning Reiki mastership. I've been really, really devoting myself to the inner path, to the spiral journey within, and to the basically the daily surrender. And a lot of times, and my spirit team would tell me this all the time, they always give the Fool card. So if you know anything about the tarot,
Oh my Lord, this is synchronicity. Because yesterday was 1st of April, and my spirit guide Zordon came in and said to me, I quantum leaped, and had an initiation that was supposed to happen later on in April, but because I surrendered and just went with the flow of my life, I was able to quantum leap and have that initiation yesterday, 1st of April. And I asked him why now, why the 1st of April, and it's because it relates to the Fool, first year
yeah,
Fool,
it's
and
April Fool's Day
yes,
today.
yes, and it ties into that whole pathless path journey, like that Fool journey. If that makes sense, like
Oh yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And if any of the viewers want to know more about that, I always go to Biddy Tarot because I love their work. But if you look up Biddy Tarot and look up the Fool card, it is basically um, this young man who is stepping off of a cliff and not really knowing that he's stepping off of the cliff and just being really joyous in this pursuit and just allowing for things to occur the way they're supposed to. And of
yes,
course, you're a Leo and I'm a Taurus, and we are fixed signs. So we're
mm,
more apt to try to control than we are to release. And so
yeah,
for us, and I always get this, I always get the Fool card, and I always get told that I'm very stubborn and that I need to
yeah,
learn from failure. And so, and this failure is when you try to, um, do things in a very 3D way, which is a linear path.
correct.
So the A to B, we're not doing that anymore. This is not the way of the future. And we're all having to learn. And I'll actually talk about this. Maybe I'll touch on it now. And then we'll go into the next topic. But just quickly, we just had a pair of eclipses. This last solar eclipse that we had on the 29th was in Aries, and it was with Mercury. So for those of you that are kind of following along with the astrology, um, you know, we're setting the tone for the next 6 months in this eclipse. And the solar eclipse in particular sets the divine path, the sun's path, and the sun's path is the soul's path. And now with it being in Aries, now that means we're focused on the I am. So we are focused on identity and we're focused on divine inspiration. This is not the type of inspiration that you are going to get um, to control outcomes. This is very much more the fool. I mean, Aries is the baby of the zodiac. So it's like, be a baby, be an infant, be a child, childlike curiosity, all of that. And the curiosity comes from the fact that Mercury is there, and Mercury loves to try everything. So you guys all have the permission after this eclipse to be the fool. And that means, yeah. And so that means we're going to be childlike. We're not going to try to control this. We're going to come into our new identity. We've sloughed off the layers of ancestral karma. We've sloughed off the disease that we've been carrying for centuries, whatever that manifests for you. And we're really truly coming into an era where we can be divinely aligned and move forward through just pure intuition and essentially, and it is like Bashar says, follow your excitement.
Yes.
So,
And I want to touch on that real quickly
sure.
because when I first heard that statement, for your assignment, I thought every moment will be blissful, but it is not. What's not part of your assignment will come up because on a higher soul level, that's also part of your excitement to basically let go of all the doubt, the fear, limitation, negative beliefs. That's also part of your assignment, and that was what I was not expecting on my pathless path journey.
And what you're talking about was all of those planets in Pisces and all of the placements. And we still are dealing with cycles of Pisces, but basically the Pisces energy is the subconscious energy of the collective and the
Hmm.
unity consciousness, but it carries with it some deep-seated secrets, mysteries, and because Saturn has been in there, that's where it addresses our subconscious karma. And the subconscious karma, because Pisces is 12th house, are associated with the 12th house, this is going to manifest in mental illness. It's going to manifest in physical illness that will be debilitating. And these cycles we've just closed out in March, being the end of this huge cycle, with this last eclipse being the next wave. We've really closed out those karmic cycles and closed out those ancestral clearings, I would say, because I personally have been feeling a magnitude of alchemy and clearing that was necessary that just goes well beyond my personal experience in this lifetime, where
Hmm.
I know that it has to do with parallel lives, it has to do with ancestors, it has to do with DNA, epigenetic trauma, um, all of that. All of that has been lifted for those of us who have been doing the work.
Yes, actually, yesterday, I was put in a test with my dad, Robert, to see if I would react the same way because I'm a divine feminine, but in a masculine body. And for all of us who are divine feminines, we tend to have an issue with our fathers. And so I'm be working on this journey with him in regards to me being gay and how he would project that guilt and shame onto me because that's been an issue in my entire ancestral line, guilt and shame on being ourselves, living our truth, speaking our truth, and being authentically ourselves. And yesterday was the actual final test to see if I would engage with him or react. Would I shrink, basically? Would I hide my truth, not speak my truth, shrink? But I did not. I did not waver in my truth. I did not shrink. I was me authentically as I would have been if it had been a different person.
And
So
when did this happen?
yesterday, actually, yesterday was a day of full of tests for me. And so during that time, my spirit guide told me, Jordan, that I was being energetically separated from Robert and that soul contract was being broken.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because as we go into this Aries time frame, we leave Pisces behind, or we wrap up Pisces and the karmas of our ancestors and all this struggle
Hmm.
um and you said shame because Saturn in Pisces is subconscious shame and the
Yeah,
restrictions, the mental limitations that have been really pushed onto us so that we're living in indentured servitude to
that's a
the
big one. Hmm.
past, right? So once you do that, but once we go into this new era with the Aries eclipse, and that sets the tone for the next 6 months, because we have Mercury there, and Mercury is responsible for our ability to communicate.
Yes,
It's beautiful because, Mercury and Sun together, they do this yoga of skill building. And so you can expect that you're going to be able to voice and communicate in a way that's way more authentic because Aries is all about the I am and the
hmm,
authenticity. And so it's this divine authenticity. Um, and I think it's just, and I'll also say too, at the same time, Aries is ruled by Mars. And so Mars is in Cancer. And so Cancer is the divine feminine. And so there is this interplay between being assertive and kind of getting rid of those wounds on the feminine as well. So there has to be this like
Alan.
balance.
I just adore your insight and knowledge because I was fearful that people won't understand what I'm experiencing. But when I speak my truth, you immediately know how to interpret it through astrology, and I'm just in awe at
Well, I mean,
that.
it's been quite a journey, and I know that my guides are here with me right now, helping me. I
So
did,
my third eye is buzzing.
yeah. So I have my guide Kendra, who I'll talk to you all about Kendra, but she's usually over here, and I also have a healing guide and some others, and I have ones that are coming that I've been told will come.
Yes,
But my main guide is Kendra, and she's a wizard at communication and inspiration. And that's actually what her name means. So when she gave me her name, I quickly looked up the meaning because I like to see the layers of how spirit communicates and also validate that I got the message right. And
definitely.
so,
I'm sorry to cut you off. My spirit guides want me to talk about the balance between divine femininity and divine masculinity. You brought it up before about how divine feminines, this is my insight. So I'm a divine feminine, but my role has been to balance that with my divine masculine energy, which is about being assertive, having boundaries, because you can't be too feminine. If you are, it's very easy for you to be vulnerable and to be overtaken. If you're too masculine, then you can be too aggressive and then overtake other people's consciousness. There has to be a balance with both of the feminine and masculinity so that you know how to be nurturing, empathetic, compassion, soft, but at the same time, know how to assert yourself, speak your truth, stand up for yourself, and be assertive. So my journey has been about balancing those two polarities.
Yes, and it's basically this eclipse allows us to do those masculine actions, to set boundaries. However, it's all because Mars is in Cancer, and Cancer is about heart-centeredness.
Hmm.
It's about spiritual healing, and it is that divine mother energy. So if it's basically saying like, yeah, you can act and you can also put your boundaries up when you need to and defend your position, and be assertive and in standing in your own power and your own divinity and your own inner knowledge. But you want to do that from a place, a wholesome place of heart-centered, balancing, right? So that you're not just running people over with this is the right way or whatever. No, 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 no. It's not that. It's very nuanced now.
Yes.
We're now pretty much launched into the 5D, in my opinion. Those of us who've been through the deep initiations, we've gone through our kind of last round of deep, deep ancestral karmic shedding, um, and transformation. After this, it just allows us to kind of come off and go into a divine alignment and divine action.
Yes, correct. I agree 100%.
All right, cool. So I did want to also talk about, maybe we will talk, do you want to talk about the topic of how you divine
Of course,
information?
definitely.